I told myself I was helping family. That's how I excused it the first time. It was a Thursday when I handed my brother the keys. Late October, air already crisp enough to smell like metal. The kind of day when you second guess whether you need a jacket or not. Leaves scraped across the sidewalk in lazy spirals, and my truck sat in the driveway like it always had. A little rust on the bumper, a cracked tail light I kept meaning to fix. Nothing flashy, but reliable. Kyle was hunched over his phone, biting his nail with that anxious rhythm he had when something was off, but he didn't want to say it outright. He was wearing the same hoodie he'd stolen from me years ago. Still fit him somehow. "You mind if I borrow it?" he asked, not looking up. "Just for a few days." That was all. No big story, no long-winded explanation. Just a vague, mumbled request like we were swapping CDs or borrowing a video game, not a whole damn vehicle. I should have asked more questions. Should have clocked the way he avoided eye contact. But that's the thing about family. You tell yourself it's better not to know. You let things slide, especially when it's your younger brother, and he's already screwed up so many times that saying no feels like you're giving up on him completely. So I gave him the keys. "Take care of her," I said, patting the hood like I always did. Kyle smirked, already sliding into the driver's seat. "She's in good hands, man," he said. "Promise." That was the last time I saw the truck in my driveway. My name's Eric. 33, divorced, no kids, work construction. The truck, a 2008 Dodge Ram I bought used 3 years ago, wasn't fancy, but it was mine. I kept it clean, changed the oil on time, even replaced the seat foam last summer when it started feeling like a folding chair. Kyle, 2 years younger, was what you'd politely call a free spirit. Less politely, unreliable. The kind of guy who could charm the waitress, borrow money from a stranger, then disappear for a week without answering texts. He'd bounced between jobs, landscaping, bartending, door-to-door sales, and most recently, gig work delivering furniture through some sketchy app. He was always just on the verge of figuring it out. We weren't close growing up, but we shared a bedroom until I moved out at 18. I went to work straight out of high school. He didn't. We lived in different cities now, me in Dayton, him in a town 2 hours away. Still, when Mom passed 3 years ago, I was the one who helped him move out of her apartment. When he called needing help with just a little transportation issue, I said yes before thinking it through. He said he needed the truck for a few furniture drop-offs, maybe a weekend at most. He'd bring it back full of gas. No scratches, Scout's honor. Funny how some people use honor as punctuation. 4 days later, I got tagged in a photo by one of my coworkers, Dennis. The caption said, "Ain't this your truck, Eric?" Pretty sure I saw it on the buy/sell page. My stomach flipped before I even clicked the link. Dennis had posted a screenshot of a local Facebook marketplace listing, 2008 Dodge Ram, $5,200 OBO. Clean ride, runs great, message for test drive. Photos taken at an angle I recognized immediately, the busted red curb behind Kyle's apartment complex. My name wasn't on the listing, but the truck was unmistakable. Same dent near the tailgate, same blacked-out rims I'd added last spring. Even had the little "Keep It Dirty" decal Kyle used to make fun of. I stared at the screen like maybe I'd misread something, like maybe this was a joke. But it wasn't. I called him. No answer. Texted, "Call me." Now. No reply. I tried again and again. Finally, 2 hours later, I got a text. "Hey bro, chill. I'm at work. Can't talk RN." I don't know what part of that pissed me off more, the bro, the chill, or the fact that he still pretended this was normal. I replied, Why the hell is my truck on Facebook Marketplace? He read the message. 3 dots appeared. Then nothing. 5 minutes passed. Then 10. Finally. Dude, it's not what you think. I was just testing the market. Like, to see what it's worth. Relax. Testing the market. I read the phrase 3 times, just to make sure I wasn't hallucinating. You don't own the damn thing, Kyle. That's not testing the market. That's theft. He didn't reply. The truck was still in my name. I'd checked that the moment I saw the post, logging into my DMV account like I was checking the balance on a bank account after a weekend in Vegas. Still mine. Legally. I screenshotted everything, the post, the texts, even zoomed in on the license plate in one of the images. I considered calling the cops. I really did. But then I thought about how that would look. My brother, the screw-up, the flake, the guy who still owed me money from 2 years ago, getting arrested because I lent him a vehicle and he tried to sell it. I'd be the guy who called the cops on his own family. So I waited. Saturday morning, I drove to his place. Didn't warn him, didn't text. I knew he lived in a 2-bedroom with his girlfriend, some girl named Haley I'd met once at a barbecue and immediately forgot. The building was old, beige stucco with too few parking spaces. My truck was parked in the visitor spot like it was nothing. I walked up, knocked. No answer. Waited a beat. Knocked harder. Eventually, Haley opened the door in pajama shorts, holding a cereal bowl. "Oh, hey," she said. "He's not here." "Where is he?" She shrugged. "Didn't say." Said he had errands. "Cool," I said. "Mind if I take my truck back?" She looked confused for a second, then blinked like it hit her. "Oh, you mean the one he's been listing?" My blood froze. "So you knew?" Haley looked away. "I thought it was his." "He said that?" She hesitated. "Well, yeah. He said you gave it to him, like permanently, that it was part of some inheritance thing or something." I actually laughed. Couldn't help it. Inheritance? From who? Our uncle who owns a bait shop in Wisconsin? She didn't laugh, just quietly stepped aside and let me pass. The keys weren't in the apartment. I checked the kitchen counter, the coffee table, even the hook by the door where Haley said Kyle usually left them. Nothing. So I went back downstairs and checked the truck. Locked. I looked around for tools, debated calling a locksmith. Then I remembered the spare I kept magnet stuck inside the rear wheel well. Old habit from camping trips. It was still there. I got in, turned the ignition, and just sat there for a second. The smell of pine air freshener hit me, the same one I'd left hanging before Kyle took it. But there was something else too. Something sour, like stale fast food and body spray. The seat was pushed back farther, the glove compartment open, the little stash of quarters I kept for tolls. Gone. I sighed, then drove. Didn't even look back. I parked 2 blocks from my apartment, behind a laundromat with cameras. Not that I thought Kyle would try anything, but I didn't want to underestimate him either. The kind of desperation that drives someone to test the market on someone else's truck. Well, it didn't go away just because you caught them red-handed. I turned off the ignition and just sat there, hands resting on the wheel. My reflection looked back at me from the rearview mirror, older than I remembered. Not in the forehead wrinkles or the graying sideburns. Just tired. I had no plan, no script, no clean ending to this. Just a sick feeling in my gut and a truck full of his trash. The cab was disgusting. burger wrappers shoved between the seats, an energy drink can half leaking into the cup holder. There was a sock, on the dash like it was an air freshener. My good jumper cables were gone, and in their place was some off-brand pair from a dollar store. Worse, my work clipboard was missing. That wasn't just personal. That was my job. It had notes, measurements, and job site addresses for 2 upcoming gigs I hadn't backed up. I checked under the seats, the console, the bed. Nothing. He hadn't just tried to sell my truck. He'd gutted it first. At 6:42 p.m., Kyle finally texted me. "Dude, where's the truck? Haley said you took it?" I stared at the screen like it had insulted me. "It's mine. Remember?" 3 dots. Then, "You had no right, man. I was gonna give you a cut. You didn't even let me explain." I laughed out loud, bitter. A cut. Like I was part of some con I never agreed to. I didn't reply. Instead, I sent him a photo. His own Facebook Marketplace post, with his username visible and my license plate clearly in frame. Then I wrote, "You've got 24 hours to come clean, or I file a police report." Nothing came back for a while. Then, "Bro, that's messed up. We're family." That line stuck in my head for hours. "We're family." It's what he always circled back to, no matter what he did. When he borrowed my PlayStation and pawned it. When he ran up a $300 phone bill under my name. When he no-showed for Mom's memorial brunch and sent a meme as an apology. He used family like a coupon code, like it gave him unlimited chances. And for the longest time, it worked. Because deep down, I didn't want to be the guy who turned his back on his own brother, the guy who filed charges, the guy who, in the end, gave up. But now he'd tried to sell the only thing I actually owned. Not rent, not shared. Owned. My name, my insurance, my payments, my risk. He didn't ask for help. He just saw a thing he could sell. That night around 10, Haley called me. Not texted, called. I let it ring twice before I picked up. "Hey." "Eric?" she asked, her voice quiet. I just wanted to say, "I didn't know. I thought he had your blessing. He told you I gave him the truck?" She was quiet. "He said it was temporary at first. Then when he listed it, he said you were cool with it, that it was like a family asset." "A family asset?" I repeated, stunned. "What does that even mean?" "I don't know." I believed him. "I'm sorry." "Don't be. You didn't drive it off and try to flip it." She took a shaky breath. "He's not here, if you're wondering. He left after our fight." "Fight?" "Yeah. I told him it was messed up, that he was scamming his own brother. He got defensive, packed a bag, and left." "Where'd he go?" "No clue. Probably back to his old friend Ryan's place. You know, the guy with the gaming chair obsession." I actually smiled at that. "Yeah, I remember Ryan." She paused. "Are you pressing charges?" I didn't answer right away, because I didn't know. Next morning, I rolled into the job site in the same truck Kyle tried to sell, parked where I always did. My boss, Trevor, was sitting on the tailgate of his own ride, sipping coffee. He gave me a look. "You good?" "Yeah." He squinted. "You hear about that weird furniture dude trying to sell your truck online?" I blinked. "What?" He pulled out his phone and showed me a screen grab someone had passed around. The listing again. My stomach dropped. "Where'd you get that?" "Bobby saw it." "You know Bobby. Nosy as hell." He showed it to the crew thinking it was some scammer. Then Dennis connected the dots. Of course Dennis did. "Everyone talking about it?" I asked. Trevor shrugged. They're curious. I told them it was your brother. They backed off. I exhaled. Thanks. He nodded. You're a good guy, Eric. Too good sometimes. That stung more than it should have. That evening, Kyle finally called. I didn't want to pick up. I really didn't. But something made me do it. His voice was defensive from the jump. Look, I know how it looks. You know how it looks? I said, stunned. He sighed. I was gonna pay you back. I just needed a jump start, man. Something to get out of the hole. You were gonna sell my truck. For both of us. I laughed, sharp. You think pawning my tools and tossing my clipboard counts as mutual benefit? I was gonna tell you. But you freaked out before I had the chance. No, I said, voice low. You didn't tell me because you knew it was wrong. That's why you took the spare key and ran it without checking in. That's why you ghosted me for 4 days. He didn't reply. You crossed a line, Kyle. Come on, man. No, I said. I'm done. He went quiet. Then, you filing charges? I hesitated. I haven't decided. Wow. So that's what it is now. Blood doesn't matter. Blood doesn't give you a license to rob me. Another silence. Then he hung up. I spent the next hour cleaning out the truck. Bleach wipes, Febreze, scraping mystery goop off the dashboard with an old credit card. Every wrapper I threw away felt like shedding a layer of guilt. I found my clipboard, chewed on, bent, but salvageable, wedged deep behind the passenger seat, like he'd tried to hide it. It still had my notes. Somehow, that pissed me off more than everything else, because it meant he knew it mattered. He just didn't care. Next morning, I walked into the sheriff's station with a folder, printouts of the post, our texts, a photo of my registration, and the plate zoomed in from the listing. I didn't file a report yet. I just asked some questions. The officer on duty, guy named Franklin, built like a deep freezer, looked at me and said, Well, technically, you've got enough here to start a case. Even though he's my brother? Franklin gave me a long look. Doesn't matter whose name he's got. Theft's theft. I nodded. Thanks. I went home and texted Kyle one last time. You have 24 hours to remove the listing and send me a formal written apology, or I report you. Last warning. He didn't reply. The post stayed up, hour after hour. I kept checking Facebook Marketplace like it was a live countdown. Every time I refreshed, there it was. My truck, his price, same copy-pasted description. He hadn't changed a thing, not even the photos. It was like he was daring me. 12 hours before the deadline I'd given him, someone messaged me. Not Kyle. A guy named Ben Tolliver. I almost ignored the message, thought it was spam, until I read, Hey, is this your truck on FB? I almost bought it. Something felt off. Thought you should know. I blinked. Ben had found me through mutual friends. Turns out we'd both done some work for a local home reno crew years back. We weren't close, but he remembered my face. And the truck. He sent screenshots of his conversation with Kyle. Or rather, the fake name Kyle had used, Ty-M. Ben had asked for the VIN number. Kyle dodged the question. Said, title's in process. Ben didn't buy it. He told me he was in a rush because he was moving out of state, Ben added. Said he'd knock $500 off if I showed up that night with cash. My jaw clenched. Kyle hadn't just tried to sell the truck. He was actively luring in buyers with fake urgency and sweeteners, like it was a Craigslist special, not stolen property. Thanks for telling me, I replied. You probably just saved me a trip to court. Ben sent a thumbs up. Hope you get your truck back. I didn't correct him. I just sat there staring at the screen. It wasn't about getting it back anymore. It was about deciding what to do with a brother who could lie that easily. That night I drove, not far, just aimless. Out of the city, down some old farm roads, past dim barns and quiet houses with porch lights that glowed like fireflies. I rolled the window down and let the cold air smack my face. Thought about Mom. She'd always told me to look after Kyle. "You're the anchor," she'd said once, the night he got fired from his second job in 1 month. "He floats. He needs you." Back then, I thought it was flattering. Now it felt like a weight. I pulled over near an empty lot and killed the engine. The silence felt thick, like it had mass. My phone buzzed. A text from Haley. "He's not coming back here. I think he's staying with Ryan full-time now." I typed back, "Thanks. I appreciate the heads up." She replied, "I know it's not my place, but he needs consequences, Eric. He doesn't change without them. He never has." I stared at that line for a long time. Then I turned the truck around. 8:12 a.m. sharp. I was back at the station. Same folder. Same officer. "Changed your mind?" Franklin asked, sipping his travel mug. "Yeah," I said. "I want to file." It felt weird. Heavy and anticlimactic all at once, like signing a lease you can't back out of. We sat down and went through everything: photos, dates, texts, screenshots. I had it all. Franklin nodded through most of it, typing slowly. "He ever take the title?" he asked. "Nope. I've got it in a drawer at home." "Then this should be pretty straightforward." "Will he get arrested?" "Depends," Franklin said. "Could just be a citation and a warning if you're not pushing for full charges." "Depends what the DA thinks." I nodded. "I just want it on record." He slid a form across the desk. "Then sign here." I did. And just like that, a line I'd never wanted to cross was crossed. That night, he finally called. Not to apologize. To scream. "You really did it?" he barked the second I answered. "You actually filed?" "Yep." "Jesus, Eric." "Over a truck?" "No. Over trust." "Oh, get off your high horse. You're acting like I robbed a bank. You tried to sell something you didn't own. I was going to give you the money." "No, you weren't." Silence. Then he tried a new tactic. "You know what this is? This is you trying to punish me, 'cause your life's boring and you need someone to feel better than." I actually laughed. "Kyle, you stole my truck. Temporarily. And now I've got a record because you couldn't handle it like a man. Handling it like a man means having boundaries. This is mine." Another silence. Then a muttered, "Screw you." And the line went dead. I didn't call back. 2 days later, I was loading tools into the truck bed when I heard someone approach behind me. I turned around. Ryan, Kyle's best friend since middle school. Thin, tall, always looked like he'd just rolled out of a beanbag chair. "Hey," he said, holding his hands up. "I'm not here to fight." "Then talk." He looked uncomfortable. "He's spiraling, man." Like bad. Drinking, yelling, blaming everyone. I tried to tell him he crossed a line. "He won't hear it," I said. "Nope. But I figured you should know. He's saying stuff like you ruined his future and sold him out. Thought maybe you'd want to get ahead of that." "What does that mean?" "Just watch your back, man. Not saying he'd do anything crazy. But when he's cornered, he swings." I exhaled. "Thanks for the heads up." Ryan started to leave, then turned back. "He's not mad about the truck, you know." He's mad you stopped giving him the benefit of the doubt. That's the thing he can't stand." "Good," I said. "Maybe that's what he needs." 1 week later, I got a letter in the mail. Not from Kyle. From the city prosecutor's office. A hearing date. Misdemeanor theft by attempted unlawful sale of property. I wasn't required to attend, but I could if I wanted to make a statement. I folded it once and left it on my kitchen table. Stared at it every day that week. Didn't move it. Didn't touch it. Just looked. 3 days before the hearing, I stopped at the gas station by my job site, filled the tank, went inside for coffee, and there he was. Kyle, standing by the freezer section in a wrinkled hoodie, looking like he hadn't shaved in days. We locked eyes. He looked at the floor. I didn't walk toward him, didn't wave, just paid for my coffee and turned to leave. As I reached the door, I heard him call out, "Eric!" I turned. He looked like he wanted to cry, but didn't. "Do what you gotta do," he said. "I get it now." I held his gaze. "I hope you do." Then I left. It was a Wednesday. Cloudy, but not cold. Just that in-between kind of day where the sun keeps threatening to break through but never commits. I parked 2 blocks from the courthouse. Walked slow. Not because I was nervous, at least that's what I told myself, but because it felt strange to be going into a place like that, with my own brother's name on the docket. Kyle Monroe, charged with attempted unlawful sale of property. I hadn't told anyone I was attending. Not Trevor, not Haley, not even my neighbor who usually watched my place when I was out of town. I just showed up, took a seat in the back row. Quiet. Out of the way. The courtroom smelled like old carpet and recycled air. People were milling around in suits and sneakers and stained hoodies. Real life. Distilled. When Kyle walked in, I almost didn't recognize him. He was cleaned up, shirt tucked in, hair combed for once, no hoodie, no headphones, no cocky slouch. Just a guy standing next to a public defender who looked like she'd rather be anywhere else. He saw me, did a double take, then looked away. The judge was efficient. One of those no-nonsense types with a voice like gravel and zero patience for excuses. He ran through the docket like it was a fast food order line. When Kyle's case came up, the clerk read the charge. The public defender leaned over and whispered something. Kyle nodded. Then the judge asked, "Do you have anything you'd like to say?" Kyle hesitated. Then he said, "Yeah. Actually, I do." My chest tightened. "I took my brother's truck," he said, voice clear. "I listed it online. I didn't have permission. I was desperate. That's not an excuse, but it's the truth." The judge peered over his glasses. "Did you sell it?" "No, sir." "Did you return it?" "He took it back." A few scattered chuckles from the gallery. The judge silenced them with a glance. "Are you pleading guilty?" "Yes." The judge scribbled something, then said, 30 hours of community service, a written apology. And if your brother chooses to pursue civil damages, that's his right. Do you understand?" "Yes, sir." That was it. Gavel. Done. A week later, I got the letter. Folded neatly, envelope addressed in Kyle's slanted handwriting. I sat on the edge of the couch, unopened envelope in hand, for 10 whole minutes, just staring at it like it might explode. When I finally tore it open, here's what it said. "Eric, I've been a shitty brother, not just because of the truck. That was just the latest thing. I've always taken from you time, money, patience, and I've never really asked what that cost you. I just assumed you'd be there, because you always were. I didn't sell the truck, but I meant to, and that's bad enough. You didn't have to let it go. You could have pressed full charges. You didn't. That says more about you than it does about me. I'm sorry. Not just for what I did, but for making you doubt yourself, for finally drawing a line. You deserve better than what I've been giving you. I hope one day I can prove I'm worth your forgiveness. Kyle, I read it twice, then once more. Then I folded it and put it in the drawer next to my truck title. It took me 3 more weeks to get the truck back in shape. Deep clean, seat shampoo. I replaced the air filter, bought new floor mats, and reinstalled my good jumper cables. I even buffed out that rear bumper rust I'd been ignoring for a year. It felt symbolic, like reclaiming something. Not just the truck, but the parts of myself I'd been giving away in small doses for too long. One Saturday morning, I opened my door to find a box on the stoop. No note, no name, just a cardboard box taped shut. Inside, my missing clipboard, a gas card with $50 loaded, and a photo. It was one of me and Kyle, from years ago. We were kids, maybe 10 and 12, sitting on our bikes in front of Mom's house. He had a popsicle stain on his shirt. I had a Band-Aid on my elbow. Behind us, just barely visible in the frame, an old red pickup, not the Dodge. Just a beat-up Ford that Mom used to borrow from a neighbor when we were growing up. I hadn't seen that photo in 20 years. It didn't make me cry, but it made me feel something close. Weeks passed. No drama, no new messes. Then one evening, I got a text from Kyle. Just one line. I'm going to a meeting tomorrow. First one. Don't need a ride. Just thought you should know. I stared at the screen for a while, then typed, proud of you. Keep going. He replied with a thumbs up. That was it. No emojis, no follow-up. But for once, it felt like enough. For a while, Kyle went quiet. Not in that avoidant, ghost you and then ask for money kind of way. Just still. No late-night texts. No sudden calls asking for help. No Facebook posts tagging me in photos of weird art installations or half-baked crypto rants. And honestly, it felt weird. Like learning to breathe with one lung after years of compensating for someone else's weight. But it was also peaceful. I went back to work, finished 3 major remodel jobs back to back. My truck held up like a champ. No weird noises, no phantom smells, no mystery dents. I kept her clean, not out of spite, just pride. Something I hadn't felt in a while. Almost 2 months after the court hearing, I got another letter from Kyle. Same handwriting, different tone. Erica, I don't expect you to reply, but I want you to know I've been clean 6 weeks now. I've been going to meetings 3 times a week. Working part-time doing drywall for a guy who doesn't care about my record as long as I show up on time. So far, I haven't let him down. I see things clearer now. Not just what I did to you, but what I did to myself every time I treated you like a safety net instead of a person. I never sold your truck, but in my head, I had already convinced myself I deserved to, that it was owed to me. That's what scares me most. I'm trying to unlearn that. Slowly. I don't want anything. Just wanted you to know I'm trying to be someone worth keeping in your life, not someone you have to protect it from. Kyle. I read it on a Sunday morning with black coffee and rain tapping on the window. No dramatic music, no flash of epiphany, just a slow breath out. And maybe, just maybe, a little bit of hope. I didn't invite him over. Didn't send back a gift basket or some emotional reply about how proud I was. I didn't even text. I just took the letter, folded it, and put it next to the first one. Then I went outside and checked the tire pressure on my truck. Because boundaries are like maintenance. They only work if you keep them up, even when things seem okay. Especially then. A few weeks later, Kyle called. Not a text. A real call. I was making breakfast. Eggs, toast, nothing fancy. I let it ring once, twice, then picked up. "Hey," I said. He sounded nervous. "Hey, so I'm coming up on 90 days clean next week." "That's big," I said. "Yeah, there's a chip ceremony thing. Nothing dramatic. Just, you get a token and you say something if you want." I waited. "I was wondering if you'd come." I sat down at the table, looked out the window. The rain had passed, and the sun was cutting through the clouds like a guilty smile. "Where is it?" I asked. He told me. I said I'd think about it. He didn't beg, just said, "Okay. Either way, thanks," and hung up. I showed up. I didn't tell him I would. I just did. The room was a modest church basement, half lit and warm with that faint smell of coffee and dry carpet. Folding chairs in a circle. People with tired eyes and soft smiles. Kyle saw me as he stepped up to get his token. He looked surprised. Not dramatic, not teary-eyed. Just steady. When he spoke, he didn't talk about the truck, or me, or anything flashy. He just said, "I used to think I could lie my way out of anything. Turns out the only person I ever fooled was myself. I'm trying not to do that anymore." Then he sat down. I clapped. Not because I had to, because I wanted to. After the ceremony, we walked to the parking lot, stood next to my truck like it was a neutral zone. Kyle kicked at a rock, hands in his pockets. "I, got you something." I raised an eyebrow. "Yeah?" He pulled out a small black case, handed it to me. Inside, a set of custom screwdrivers, engraved on the handle, "For things worth fixing." I didn't know what to say, so I just nodded. "Thanks," I said. He nodded back. We stood there in silence for a bit. Then he said, "I'll catch a ride with Ryan. Let you get home." "All right." He turned to go, then stopped. "I'm not fixed yet," he said, "but I'm trying to stop breaking things." I smiled. That's a good start. It's been almost 2 years. Kyle's still working construction, still going to meetings, still messing up sometimes, but owning it more. We don't talk every day, don't even talk every week, but I trust him with conversation now, not with my keys. And that's okay. Some relationships aren't meant to go back to what they were. They're meant to grow into something new, something smaller maybe, but stronger. My truck still runs smooth, still has the same cracked taillight, still carries my tools from site to site. Every time I get behind the wheel, I remember what it means to set a boundary. Not to punish someone else, but to protect the part of yourself that keeps getting overlooked. If this story moved you, subscribe for more real-life confessions and emotional journeys like this one.